So they don't care where they go as long as they're not being shot at or persecuted by, these gang members or these political dissidents in their own country.
Yeah,
and
their own military.
And they just want a place that allows them to make more than, $5 a day, $4 a day, well, however much they make around that much, if that. And so if you don't care about the morality of gassing children or any of that stuff, we have to look at this economically. Economically, it's just, this is where our money goes. We could, instead of, let me put on a great quote actually later on explaining, but instead of using all that money that we could have used
for border agents,
ourselves, for our people, our working class people in America, we're giving it to people. Yeah. What if instead of sending 5,000 troops to the border, AOC said, we had sent 5,000 caseworkers to review the process visa applications? In addition to averting a moral crisis, it would also have saved enormous amounts of resources. But we don't talk about the financial recklessness of the GOP's admins, do we? And that's what AOC posted, because it's true. Yeah. This is where our money is going.
I mean, and we've seen this in other countries before, too, fam. It's like our money's gone to El Salvador, Chile, we supported Brazil back in the days, Colombia, Nicaragua, Panama. We're trying right now in Venezuela and Nicaragua again, Honduras twice, and of course Guatemala twice. And you're talking back to the 50s. I think this is almost 3 times with Guatemala, and then the 80s with Ronald Reagan going apeshit crazy. We are causing these migration problems. It's coming out of our pockets. It's coming out of our money. And all these people really do deserve asylum because we wrecked their fucking country.
Exactly. And actually, the Geneva Convention allows, that we are totally violating now, allows people to come in and in an orderly way seek asylum and be their case gone through by a case-by-case basis instead of the way it's being handled in this chaotic way. Yeah. And that would have all been really easy to resolve. Nobody is really saying, let's just let everybody in and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. There is a way to do these things. And I think that, a lot of people get stuck in the mainstream media extremities of both sides. Yeah. And Abby Martin posted something really cool. She said, imagine getting off on seeing children gas. And I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. Tommy Lauren is one of these people on the right that exploits the emotions of the right wing kind of fascist agenda. I don't even believe she believes these things. She's just getting paid so much money to actually say these things, to kind of rile these people up. And she said, bum rushing the border is a choice and has consequences. Watching the USA finally defend our borders was a highlight of my Thanksgiving weekend. And I mean, people react emotionally to that, and I understand it's disgusting to see someone react like that. But what we have to look at is why is she saying this? Yeah. What do they get out of it? What do they get out of it? And they get people's emotions and riling up and going up on either end of the spectrum. And I think we need to focus on actually helping these people from the core root of the problem, and that is being extremely anti-war, having an anti-war movement, no longer accepting politicians that promote war or are bought off by these the war machine. Well,
fam, I also want to point out that not every conservative thinks that way, and I hope there's a lot of conservatives out there or people on the right who were anti-war, libertarian-minded, who can really call out Donald Trump and say, hey, listen, we want to stop the migration. Let's stop it by stop causing the problems overseas. We're going to take a quick break and come on back and talk a little bit what happened in the water as we were swimming the other day. Behind us, you can see we're in Russia. We were taking a dip, and all of a sudden we saw Ukrainian ship go by, a Russian ship go by. We'll talk about it. We got a video when we come back after these messages on the CONVO Couch.
Not for yourself, for the people. It's time for you to take care of people. People are sick and tired of being sick and tired. All these conditions.
More than 13,000 firefighters are battling.
This is terrible.
That around the state.
to stay silent about the...
I don't know what I said. Pay attention to what Jerry Brown is on.
Governor Brown keeps issuing oil and gas permits.
Pay attention to what the legislators and the senators are doing inside of this state. This is wrong. When you neglect the promises of the people, it's wrong. When you walk in this building every day and conduct the wrong to the legislation, when it's not for the due process of the people, when it continues to be the due process for the evils of money, it's wrong. When we have a Democratic governor inside of these doors that does the same thing that the Republicans and Greed do, it's wrong. For those people outside of the Central Valley, that's number one in poverty in the Central Valley. It's wrong today in Fresno, California. It's wrong today in Bakersfield, California. It's wrong today for the water there, for fracking. It's wrong today for you not to pay attention and not have a concern today. Shut it down!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the lagginess. Our AT&T internet sucks, even though we hardlined it in and we got the highest thing. We pay extra for this shit. You know, we heard about problems with Spectrum for some people. We got the A&T.
These corporations suck anyway.
Suck ass.
God.
Pay extra money.
Municipal internet.
We need it
Join
now.
us.
So the other day, me and Fam were taking a dip in the water, and we were swimming nicely behind us, as you can see.
It was cold.
The channel leads out to the, the ocean over there. This is, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there were Ukrainian boats coming into Russian territory.
And they hadn't told us.
They hadn't told us. So take a look at the little video we have of what happened in the Crimea oceans, right near Crimea and Ukraine. Go ahead.
So the Ukrainian vessels, according to Russian television, were sailing between two Ukrainian ports from Odessa in the Black Sea to Mariupol in the Azov Sea. That's the only way that waterway that connects the crimes to the mainland Russia. So Kiev said it was basically that Kiev said it notified Moscow in advance and that its Navy ships would be sailing through the area. Moscow denies that they were given any warning. So the Russians say that they weren't notified at all that these Ukrainian ships were going to come.
Can't they track that? Can't they say, oh, look at this tweet. Look at this text message I sent you. Look at this email. Look at this something. I mean, don't they have anything to prove that they contacted him? I don't think they did, because it seems to me that it's just another issue of NATO playing games, especially through the form of Ukraine, who's not an official member yet, and playing war games with Russia again. You know, and Russia was like, we ain't having it, pal.
Yeah, and so the vessels just did what they wanted and continued, and Russia said they were forced to shoot them down. 3 Ukrainian sailors were wounded and given medical assistance while the ships were seized.
Yeah,
so
they rammed them pretty tight. And then the guys came on, made their statements, whatnot, but it's just another incident. And, I think that a lot of it people aren't seeing behind the scenes is that the Ukrainian president in such a nationalist country is going low in the polls. So what do? You strike up a little war to get your nationalist base going.
Right.
You start a little sword fighting with Russia, and therefore you help yourselves in the poll. I think that's what's happening on behind the scenes when it comes to the Ukrainian situation and why they did this.
Yeah, I mean, the Russian foreign ministry spokeswoman said that the Ukrainian government are basically using this as a provocation. Like Pasta said, it's like a power game trip. Well, they're trying to provoke and then have Russia attack and then blame Russia as being the aggressor. That is coming from a lot of the Russian spokesperson. So that is one point of view. But I tend to agree with that. I don't really see a reason for them to do this, and just based on the relations that are going on right now and the way where it stands, it doesn't make sense to.
It gets a little proxy too as well. Then they get
you
the
can
UN
see it. You can see the ship there and like that happening as it's happening. So
and Nikki Haley goes on for the UN. I can't wait till this woman is done and she's finished because she's such an embarrassment to the United States. I'm sorry if you're a Nikki Haley fan, but I don't know if it's the shit she's got to talk that she's forced to talk about. But we're gonna stand with the Ukrainian people. No, the people you're standing by are the real fascist of Ukraine that you've been supporting, that has actual neo-Nazi groups part of their militia and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's
another
who you're
thing.
fucking supporting. So you can eat a bag of Richards with that shit.
it just seems like a power shift right now with the the Israel-Ukrainian alliance thing going on right there.
Selling weapons.
And then of
Fucking
course
bullshit.
Russia is always everyone's scapegoat, and people are gonna really think we're Russian bots.
We
They
are
really
Russian bots.
Don't.
I should have played Intergalactic. So another person can eat a bag of Richards, fam. Tell them who it is. We did a show on him last night. Last week we did a show on him. I'm sorry, and I don't mean he can do it, figuratively speaking. I mean,
Whoa. Oh God.
I don't want to get lost on words and everything like that. But Boss Bauman has been accused of sexual harassment,
sexual assault,
and is taking a little early vacay, fam. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, Eric Bauman took a leave of absence after he was accused by people within the California Democratic Party of sexual assault. There are screenshots. There's a lot of evidence and non-evidence being thrown around. There's still a lot that is developing, so we're not really going to go super in depth into that. But we have this tweet from Ro Khanna.
Immediately. After when first of all, let's be honest, because Raqqa is the one who's the vice chair. He's the male vice chair. Rooker's the female vice chair. Raqqa is the one who sent the letters out, released them, online and socially and whatnot. But go ahead, fam. What does Ro Khanna say?
The allegations of sexual assault that Raqqa Kenrick is filing against Eric Bauman are shocking. Cal Dems should replace him with M. Dauber, who is one of the nation's foremost scholars on sexual harassment and led the Persky recall campaign. We need a bold feminist to lead for 2020. So right away, he's actually, as many online have said, politicizing this because he's telling you who he should replace it with. Yeah. And I honestly don't
think... Playing a little identity politics.
I don't think there's anything wrong with putting out candidates who should replace Eric Bauman. However, I think that we should acknowledge that, yes, there are victims here, that these people are going to be the ones suffering. That doesn't mean, though, we don't hold people accountable. That doesn't mean we don't talk about the fact that we're still investigating, like, who knew what.
Yeah, talking about holding people accountable, fam. That's what we're talking about over here.
Because that helps the victims. That helps the victims more. Holding people accountable. That way we prevent these situations from happening. Yeah. But there's another thing, fam. The current replacement, Alex Rucker, is also involved. Rucker is also under investigation by the CDP for breaking bylaws and taking money from the No on 8 campaign while lobbying the resolution committee to oppose it. Sounds like a typical neo-lib.
Yeah.
She never disclosed the money per CDP bylaws.
Yeah.
And this gentleman said, I wouldn't trust her to be fair and transparent. Of course, who would?
So we have two vice chairs. We have a female vice chair in Rooker, and we have a male vice chair in Raqqa. And we have been talking about, does Daraka deserve to be the vice chair or not? I think a lot of this we've been talking about right now, and there's been some buzz online that a lot of these establishment Democrats knew about Bauman's behavior. And now it's come to a boiling point where they have no choice but to say persona non grata and get rid of him. But beforehand, when the election was going on, we have heard, we haven't had anybody willing to come forth and stuff, but people talking about Bauman's behavior beforehand. And it almost reminds me of the whole Harvey Weinstein thing. Like the Clintons knew. Everybody knew about Harvey Weinstein, but you're going to still take money from him? You're still allowing him to be a donor to, you're going to still take his money of the Democratic Party? I don't want more of the same moving forward. And I think we have to get to the bottom of this. We have to find out or not whether both vice chairs and anybody associated knew about this behavior. Because if they knew about this behavior, they're just as guilty as Eric Bauman himself for allowing it to happen. If they're not just as guilty, they are guilty in some manner, and they don't deserve to run this party. A person like Kimberly Ellis should be brought back and given the rightful chair of the position.
And I think regardless of who's brought up, I think it's important to see that the Democratic Party has a lot more to unravel, and we will have more information as it comes. And I want to move from this by saying that it's crucial to always stand with the victims in these situations, but we need, again, to hold people accountable. And that doesn't mean we're politicizing anything. It's already been politicized by the people committing the assault, by people like Eric Bauman, by people like Rucker, who are taking money and then lobbying against something. Like it's all corrupt.
She's got a behavior issue too, fam. A lot of people have said, like, they've shown her behaviors. Like, she's the one who called the police on all those people at the CDP last year. All the progressives who were protesting the results. She's the one who called the police, and she's been known to get her mouth uppy and whatnot and be a bully as well. No more bullies.
And we shouldn't really feel bad when we're asking for justice for these victims by putting this on the forefront and holding people accountable. There's no shame in doing that. I think if people don't want to come forward, that's their prerogative. But I think, I think we can respect that while simultaneously understanding that there's something definitely wrong here and that we need to get these people out of power. That politics kind of sometimes brings about some of the worst people, some of the worst narcissistic, egotistical, sociopathic. You know, I'm sounding like Jimmy Dore here, but I mean, it's the truth.
We're going to change the whole fucking culture of this thing.
We do.
They think they can take money from corporate entities. They think they can touch people unwanted. This behavior has to change. The culture has to change. So, to be continued over there, instead of parading somebody around like a champion, I want to see what some of these people know and what they knew when this happened, fam.
Exactly.
Should we go on to the next topic?
We should.
Because it's all about our boy Jeff Bezos, right? I have to put up a little thing right here. I put up something, and the other day it was Democrats paid a huge price for letting unions die. And I've been saying this the whole time, and I want to put up this post because when you have a post that both Nick Brana and Kit Cabello like, okay, you got to be out there and flaunt it and stuff like that. And I put this was by design, in my opinion. And it talks about, in this particular article, that under all three of those times, under Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Democrats failed to pass labor law reforms that would bolster unions' cause. In hindsight, it's clear that the Democratic Party didn't merely betray organized labor with these failures, but also itself. And I talked about it in this article. And you're talking about 20 years of control at the White House, okay? Between 1978 to 2017, union membership rate in the United States fell by more than half, from 26 to 10.7%, okay? And that was under Democratic control, okay? Not Republican in the White House, Democrats in the White House. They turned their back on workers in America. They put up all these red herrings of things that look good, and they just did it in the form of Amazon, fam. We're talking about Cuomo and Blasio, your boy, gave $3 billion in tax cuts for Amazon to come to New York to give 25,000 jobs. And here's the thing, fam, they're not even new jobs. They could be moving jobs around from other areas and supplementing. And they did that. Why? Because if you look under Open Secrets and you look under everything else, you'll see that the whole Democratic Party is on the take from Amazon. They're getting money hand over fist from Amazon, fam. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's the age-old problem. As long as we have money, corporate money in politics, as long as we have these, elite top 1% or 0.051%, then, we're all of the needs of the people are never going to be met. it's just not going to happen. We're going to have these politicians continuously putting money where their donors ask them to, not where the people ask them to. And one of the things about this is that unions were supposed to be by and for the people. Intrinsically, unions are a very socialist idea. It's a socialist constraint, because you have everything is owned by and for the people, and the means of production are going to the people. And so that in itself is a socialist idea. What's happened is capitalism makes it nearly impossible for these unions to function as these socialist organizations.
Yep.
So these unions have to conform to the way these corporations operate. Otherwise, these corporations strip them of any power, and they don't want that. So they have to give the people some power. So they tend to kind of work with the corporations. But this has happened so much that now the unions are basically a ghost of what they once were.
Yep.
They aren't functioning as they should. So a lot of people say, well, these unions suck and they're corrupt and they hurt me more than they help me. And that's true in some instances. Some of the best unions left are the teachers union and the nurses union. But even these are finding it hard to stay free of corruption or to stay full of funding. Yeah. And that is something that with AFSCME versus Janus, I mean, it's just done. I mean, we just have to individually be fighting for unions, for co-ops, for finding ways to have these people-powered organizations that help the working people. Because back in the day, there used to be a janitor's union.
Yeah.
There used to be a union for every single job. Whether you were in a restaurant, whether you were a teacher, there was a union. And now they basically have ceased to have that power, and it's a very dangerous track to go down.
Well, the thing I can't understand too is, like, we talk about the death of these unions and what they used to be and what they are today, is that the fact that it just seems like it's like open bribery that's happening. If you look at Amazon's recent New York campaign contributions, they're mostly to members of Congress in New York. We have that picture up there, and you have a picture of Cuomo and our man over there, Representative Jeffries. And, when you ask Jeffries and stuff like that, now Jeffries, who's, a Democratic representative of Queens, received $8,000 total from Amazon in separate contributions to his campaign in 2017, including $1,500 before he had signed the letter, and then $6,500 after he signed the letter. And this is represented a Democrat once again. And the problem is that no matter what happens, is that nobody ever goes to jail for anything nowadays, whether it be election fraud, open bribery. I mean, you can remember when we had the Panama Papers, fam, when they came out and they revealed that all the rich people in the world, including Putin and everybody else, had an enormous criminal conspiracy to dodge taxes, to hoard stolen wealth and offshore accounts, and literally nothing happened to these people.
Nothing.
So it's just open take, let's take and go. $3 billion in tax breaks for a guy who's the richest man in the world, that even if you didn't give him this tax break, he'd still be the richest millionaire in the world, or billionaire in the world. And who suffers? How about the New York subway? Poor people. There's subways falling apart, and they're talking about cutting funding for the subway, fam.
Yep. Fam, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what to say. It kind of inspires people to commit crimes, because then people are like, oh, well, I'm going to dodge my taxes too. Except that if you do that, Uncle Sam comes right after you for the $1,000 that you dodged. But, the thousands and millions of dollars collectively,
is a system where the mice are held accountable, but the tigers get to roam free. And that's the way it is international law.
It's a great quote.
That's an American law that was said by a Mexican delegate when they created the United Nations, because all these other major states had veto power. So it's like the mice are going to be held accountable, and these lions, they're roaming free, fam. We got to finish up the show because we are getting late. It's almost 5:00. Did you want to talk about something else? Because I have one little thing to say real quick. We don't have time to get into it, but Jason Small put up something about Assange. Did GM not come through?
No, but I just wanted to mention that General Motors announced that it will be laying off thousands of American workers and closing down many plants in spite of the massive tax breaks that the GOP gave to the executives. This is yet another example for my conservative friends out there that trickle-down economics doesn't work. Nope. You can give tax breaks to the wealthy, and they will stuff it in their pockets and not put it and invest it into the working people. That's why trickle-down economics doesn't work. And now we are in late-stage capitalism where everything's falling apart. So we need a little bit of socialism to help us out. Or if it were my personal view,
Yeah, and it says massive tax breaks. It says tax breaks, fam. Let's not forget the bailout we gave them when the economy crashed.
We
bailed them the fuck out. And, that's something that Donald Trump, that was a promise. When he was saying that shit, they're not going to leave, we're going to make jobs. Bullshit. Let's see you do that, because that's something that's a promise I knew he could not keep. And here goes GM. They're ducking and run. Let's go to that Julian Assange tweet, and my boy Jason Small, who put up, Assange is not a whistleblower or a spy. He's the greatest publisher of his age. He has done more to bring the crimes of governments to light than the mainstream media will ever be motivated to achieve. That supposedly great newspaper titles like The Guardian, New York Times, Washington Post, are involved in spreading the lies of damaged Assange and are seeking his imprisonment for publishing state secrets is clear. The evidence that the idea of the liberal media no longer exists is the new plutocratic rage. The press are not, plutocratic age, I'm sorry. The press are not on the side of the people. They are an instrument of the elite control. Sorry, fam. That was struggling to get through that one. My eyes are watering. My throat is dying. But it was just for all those people who are out there saying that Assange had meetings with Manafort. No, he did not. He never met with Manafort. They're just spreading lies. The corporate media wants Assange gone away because he's a real publisher. He's a real journalist. And I've had some fights with some friends who have gone after Assange, saying that he's been Putin's puppet and whatnot. It's a crock of shit. We need people and like Assange.
I think this is a very divisive issue because either you really see what's happening or you don't. And it's something that there is proof that, he literally informed the public. You cannot deny that. And someone that does that, who tells you the truth, even risking their own life, even risking their own, sanity, their own stability, their entire career, everything is worthy of some sort of recognition. And you don't have to necessarily agree with the way he did it. You don't have to agree with how it's presented, but you can agree on the fact that the information should be out there for people. Everybody should be entitled to this information. And I think maybe prior 200 years ago, people thought that it was best to keep information away from the public because the masses could be dangerous. But I think the people have developed in a way where the information should be free flowing and should be there, and we should all have access to information. And any impediment of that information is censorship. And the media, the fourth is STOT, was created to be by and for the people, there as a tool for the people, as a tool for empowering people to make sure to hold those in power accountable.
It's supposed to be a guard dog.
And what it's become is a tool for the corporatists to go and use and fuel their own narratives, and the war machine that we have seen cause destruction in Central America. All of this is connected, and all of this is coming to this peak, this tipping point. And we have to learn to get ahead, is how I want to end the show. We have to learn to be proactive with everything and see things from the aerial perspective of the picture instead of being reactionary to things as they are happening. And I did want to say, if you have any money or any way to help the people in the caravans, go to my Facebook page. I posted a bunch of links there of a lot of people doing great work. Mark Lane is always out there helping in the caravans, and there are many people that are going to go there, including AIM SoCal is going this weekend to help drive supplies there. Madeline and Brenda Gutierrez are going to be there, as well as many other LA activists.
Awesome activists. And I want to also say, fam, in closing, that yes, it's so connected. You were talking about the war machine and everything like that. Remember that Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. He also owns the Washington Post. So you got Cuomo and Blasio, who don't want anything said bad about them in the Washington Post. So they do the kickback and they get their thing in return. The cycle and the machine is working all around, leading to these wars, leading to certain these things. Remember, the CIA has an agreement, has a deal with the Washington Post. But we want to send big ups to certain people real quick. Special love out to Kit Cabello, Suzanne Murphy, Raven Dawn, Redhead, Victor Casas. We love you all. Eric Zachary, Steve Walbrand, Niko House, Roy Williams, Ron Williams, Tyann Chesser is in the house. And speaking about certain things, we also want to say love to Tim Johnson, J.C. Lynn, who are running for Assembly District 74 delegate. We love you, fam. And speaking, James Aaliyah just joined on in before. Want to send a shout out to him. Roseanne Martirana, we love you. And fam, what about this KPFK thing? Why don't you tell the people at home what they got to learn about KPFK?
Well, I'm running for KPFK board, which is going to be just as a board member of the KPFK community. Me and Michelle Manos are running. And it would just be dealing with the programming and making sure that the fundraising and everything goes well for the radio station. As we know, broadcast is the oldest and still a very useful medium due to podcasting. And there's a lot of great people that work there. Ernesto, Nancy Kaufman has been there. And it's just a great radio station that I really love. And they bring really great news. They have Pacifica. We have Democracy Now.
Don't they have El Soro or something like that? Or El Sor? No, that was off, right? It's gone.
But yeah, so...
Do the Real News Network through there sometimes or no?
I'm not sure.
Else.
No.
Whatever. But,
I don't think so.
Fam, let's talk about those other people. You got to set them free. If you don't set them free, you know... Talking about those Donald Trumps and all those other people. Eric Bauman, you're set free, my friend. Take a leave of absence. You're gone. Remember, when we don't talk to each other, we stay in our own bubble.
Yep. Talk to the other side, fams. Convo out.
Hey, if you liked our video and want to support independent media, please like, share, and subscribe below.
Yeah, we have a Facebook, a Twitter, a YouTube, and coming soon, fam, we're going to be on Roku.
Take it easy, fam. And if you have any change to spare, please subscribe to our Patreon below to keep us going.
Yes, anything would help with that.
Thanks again for watching. Convo out.